All right. Well, I was not expecting to be doing a post-game show talking about a Celtics victory, especially on a night where Kemba Walker didn't contribute at all, and especially with all the tumult and storylines outside of the game that have been following the Celtics team for the past couple of days. But here we are, just about midnight Eastern, and the Celtics have earned a really hard-fought victory against the team that I think is the best team in basketball, the Brooklyn Nets. The series is now 2-1, and the Celtics are not going to be swept, as I predicted, and I think a lot of other people did. And while that should not be the bar, not getting swept, at least they did not fully embarrass themselves in this series. You can hold your head up high and say, without Jaylen Brown, we at least had a game, and maybe the next game on Sunday too, they'll do this too, where we competed and showed effort. And that's really, I think, all anybody was really looking for from this team is, show some pride, show that you care. You're overmatched. Everybody knows it, but put in a sincere effort and don't make it easy for the Nets. Make them work, make them have to play physical, and make them think that we can't just beat this team in our sleep. That's really all anybody was asking for. And for the first two games, you didn't get that. Tonight, you absolutely got it. Jayson Tatum was phenomenal tonight, obviously, 50 points. But I think even more credit potentially goes to guys like Marcus Smart and Tristan Thompson, who played their asses off tonight and really played a physical, strong game and set the tone early on that this wasn't going to be like the past two games. And the Celtics raised their level of intensity, whether it was because they were frustrated with what Kyrie's had to say and all the talk about the team being embarrassing this season and getting their asses kicked the first two games, or if the home crowd gave them a little bit of a lift and then should give them hopefully even more of a lift on Sunday. Whatever it was, the Celtics started off slow. It looked like, oh, crap, here we go. They're going to get blown out again. And then Brad Stevens called a good timeout, and to their credit, from that point on, the Celtics scrapped and clawed and fought their way back into the game to take a lead at the end of the first quarter and didn't look back thereafter and protected the lead as it looked like Brooklyn was going to make their run late in the game with James Harden and Kevin Durant catching fire. But the Celtics remained calm. Jayson Tatum kept scoring the basketball. They kept hitting the glass and were able to secure a victory that I think has got to feel really good for the team. And you didn't want to waste a all-time performance from Jayson Tatum with a 50-point game with a loss. You wanted to show him, hey, even if we're underhanded against a team that's really good, if you go bananas and have a fantastic game, we can support you enough to win the game. And so I think that feels good for Tatum that his teammates had his back tonight and supported him, other than Kemba Walker, who just did not play well at all, and that the Celtics didn't just roll over and die in this series. That should feel good. Listen, they're not going to win the series. I don't think anybody believes that. Even if they win on Sunday and it's a 2-2 series, they're overmatched against the Nets. Everybody knows it. But showing some fight and some resolve tonight was a nice sign, and especially with all the stuff that's been going on around the team, talking about the conversation with Kyrie Irving and racism, which if you want to hear more about, check out my podcast with Sap, Pick and Roll NBA podcast with Jet and Sap. It's also on this YouTube page. We've talked the 3 days a lot about this stuff, so I don't want to completely rehash it. If you want to hear more conversation, we spent a long time talking about that. But there's all that stuff that's going on the periphery, and the Celtics were able to respond to that and were able to show for the first time in a long time some pride and some heart. Will that carry over to the next game? Based off of this season, probably not. But for one night, it felt good in the 2020-2021 season to be a Celtics fan. And honestly, that all started, I think, with Jaylen Brown's pregame statement to the media where he addressed all this talk about racism and fan conduct and what Kyrie had to say. And I think Jaylen Brown knocked it out of the park. If you haven't heard what he had to say, I'd suggest going and listening to yourself. I retweeted it, but it's all over Twitter. Just to paraphrase in a far less eloquent way than Jaylen Brown put it, racism is a problem in Boston. It's a problem in every city. Systematic racism is a problem. Education inequality is a problem. Financial and economic inequality is a problem. All these problems we should talk about and address. But he said he didn't like the way that it got brought up within the narrative of a playoff game, and that he alluded to the player being Kyrie Irving, that he may have had some sort of ulterior agenda or motive in bringing it up now, which I think most people would agree on. That Kyrie didn't just say it in a vacuum. He had a reason for saying it and was trying to flip the narrative as to why he's going to get booed tonight, which was 99% of the people who were booing him is because of what he left in Boston. I'm sure there's a percentage of people who are booing him because they just don't like black people, and that's fucked up, and that should never be the case. But unfortunately, there are people like that in society, and there's too many, and one is too many. But that's just a fact. But most people were booing him not because they were racist, but because of how things ended here in Boston. And Kyrie was trying to change that narrative, and I think Jaylen Brown astutely called him out on that. And Jaylen Brown is a very thoughtful and intelligent person, especially when it comes to issues of race. He puts his money where his mouth is. He's very active in the community, in both back home where he's from in Atlanta and in the Boston community. He knows what he's talking about. He's very educated on the subject. He's done his research. He's experienced it firsthand, obviously. And I think that part of the issues when Kyrie Irving were here too, and this is to go off on just like a quick little tangent, is that there were issues in the locker room where Kyrie was here, and you heard a lot of it between Jaylen Brown and Kyrie, because Jaylen Brown is an actual really intelligent guy, thoughtful, curious, and was captain of his high school chess team, chose to go to Cal Berkeley to take graduate level courses at the best public school in the country. Kyrie Irving is thoughtful and curious, but he has to say he's the smartest person in the room wherever he goes. The actual smartest person in the room never really has to say that. And I think that frustrated Jaylen Brown, that Kyrie was putting on these airs of sort of a fake, real smart guy. And Jaylen Brown is an actual, real smart guy. And I think that aggravated him. And I don't think there's any love lost between those two guys. Jayson Tatum and Kyrie had sort of a big brother, little brother relationship because they're both Duke guys. Jaylen Brown had no prior relationship with Kyrie, and I don't think that they particularly got along. I don't have any evidence to prove that. That's just my theory of part of what happened here. And I think Jaylen Brown alluded to that very subtly tonight. So I hi to everybody in the chat, by the way, before I forget. Hi to Hitman Hudson, Leonard Kim, Glenn Caesar. I appreciate all you checking this out, and I hope you guys enjoyed the Celtics win tonight. So let's get into the box score before we wrap things up. As we always do on these post-game shows. Celtics, the final score, they win by 125-119 margin, making, again, the series the Nets 2, Celtics 1 in the best of 7. For the Celtics, their starters tonight were Jayson Tatum, Tristan Thompson, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, and Evan Fournier. Every single starter lived up to their billing tonight, with the exception of Kemba Walker. Tatum obviously was the best player on the court tonight in a game that featured Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. Pretty great for a 23-year-old to have the best game in a playoff game amongst those luminaries of basketball. 41 minutes for Tatum, 50 points, one of the highest scoring games in Celtics playoff history. 2 steals, a block, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 13 of 15 from the free throw line, 5 of 11 from 3, 6 of 30 from the floor. He was just fantastic. Just an absolute assassin from the court. So efficient, hitting incredibly difficult shots, getting the ball to the basket, playing through contact, making sure he got to the free throw line. Again, we always talk about those double-digit free throw numbers for Jayson Tatum. When he's in that territory and above, he's really having a special night, and hopefully he does that more and more often, because you can see it. He's big, strong, fast, has a nice handle, he's long. There's no reason he shouldn't be getting to the line a bunch every single time he plays, and he's doing a better job of that as his game continues to develop. Remember, he's still only 23 years old. So phenomenal, unbelievable superstar level performance from Jayson Tatum. Tristan Thompson, I thought, was the second best Celtic on the court, and really he played an unbelievable game, set the tone. I mentioned this earlier, with his energy and effort on the glass. 30 minutes for Tristan Thompson, 8 of 13 from the floor, 13 rebounds, 1 assist, and 19 points. Just a terrific job being physical, controlling the glass, never giving up on a play, second effort points, taking advantage of Brooklyn's biggest weakness defensively, which is their paint defense. And Tristan Thompson was just phenomenal tonight, and really, really brought that veteran leadership and tone that you were hoping he would bring when they signed him. He's been in and out of the lineup because he had COVID this year, but you really saw it, I think, more so at ever in this season. Tonight was the biggest impact he had, probably his best game as a Celtic, and obviously came at a crucial time. Kemba Walker, as I mentioned, had a poor game. He really, really hurt the team tonight. Fortunately and miraculously, they were able to survive that. 34 minutes for Kemba, 3 of 14 from the floor, 0 of 7 from 3, 8 rebounds, which is pretty good, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 5 turnovers. He led the team in turnovers. He actually led the game in turnovers. So disappointing that when he's not shooting well, which is like every other game, that he can't at least take good care of the ball and be a distributing point guard. That's just not his game. So when he's off and he's turning the ball over, he was a detriment to the team tonight. He really was. And I hate to say that because everybody likes Kemba Walker. He's a great guy. He has a great attitude, but he hurt the team tonight, and they're fortunate they were able to get a win with how poor he played. Marcus Smart was tremendous tonight on both ends of the court. 23 points for Marcus in 39 minutes, 8 of 11 from the floor, 5 of 8 from 3, very efficient, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. Again, played really good defense on Kyrie Irving, who did not have a good game, which was very nice to see. And he got screwed out of a great charge that Kevin Durant committed at the end of the game. I don't know how the referees were terrible tonight, both ways, but this was an egregious call. Kevin Durant just plowed into Marcus Smart, and they somehow reversed it and called it a defensive foul. Awful, horrendous, just embarrassingly bad officiating. But Smart played a really good game. Shot selection was good. He was hitting his shots, and the defense was there. Evan Fournier was a pleasant surprise tonight after struggling. He was 6 of 12 from the floor, 4 of 7 from 3, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal, and 17 points in his 37 minutes. Hit a couple of big threes. They needed the scoring with Kemba Walker not providing any of that, and Fournier stepped up and helped the Celtics get this win. They needed all those points from him, so nice to see him contribute. The rotation was shorter tonight. You didn't see any Jabari Parker after seeing him a lot in the first 2 games. Instead, you saw a lot of Romeo Langford, who played a very nice game for himself. 27 minutes off the bench for Romeo, just 2 of 7 from the floor. 2 of 6 from 3. So not a great shooting night, but those 2 threes did obviously help as you won by 6. That was the margin. He hit 2 threes. There you go right there. He had 6 rebounds, 6 points, and did play some really good defense. 2 of those rebounds were offensive rebounds. Tristan Thompson had 9 offensive rebounds, just to give you an idea of how good he was tonight. So Langford, I thought, had a nice positive impact on this game. He did miss a wide open 3 that would have been really nice to hit in the fourth quarter where Jayson Tatum was doubled. And essentially the Nets just said, we'll let you shoot wide open. We don't trust that you'll make it. And he missed it. So if he's going to hit his threes, he's going to be able to be a player. If he's not, he's not. That's what it comes down to for Romeo Langford. The defense is there, but you can't be that one-dimensional in the NBA. Peyton Pritchard didn't play much, just 6 minutes, no points. Robert Williams was hurt early in this game, 6 minutes, didn't record a statistic, rolled his ankle. We'll have to see what the deal is for the Time Lord. It's just unfortunate. He just cannot seem to stay healthier on the court, but we'll see what Sunday's status is for Robert Williams. Aaron Nesmith played 9 minutes, didn't really do all that much, and Grant Williams played 11 minutes, was pretty solid, 2 of 2 from the floor, 3 rebounds, and 4 points. And all that added up to a 125-119 victory. Big stat for the Celtics was they won the rebounding battle tonight, 46-37. That's obviously a massive deal. When you're playing a team like the Nets, you cannot give them second chance opportunities to score. And the Celtics did a good job controlling the glass. And now we will see what happens on Sunday. The Celtics at least have the opportunity to make it interesting. Again, I don't think they're going to win the series. I don't think they have a chance in hell of winning the series. But I'm glad they showed some life tonight, some pride tonight. And I was really thrilled with what Jaylen Brown had to say before the game. I think he knocked it out of the park. And he's just a great leader for this team to have and for the city of Boston to have right now. It's really to have someone so thoughtful and bright and active is a real luxury for Boston to have in Jaylen Brown. So good congratulations to him for being such a good person. And to his parents who raised him. Good job, Brown family. Celtics will be back in action on Sunday, obviously against the Nets in Game 4. And the Garden, for the first time in a long time, will have a full house if they're able to sell enough tickets. 17,000 in attendance. If they do sell it out, we will see what happens. I imagine that with the win tonight, there's a lot more likely of a chance they do sell out that game. Kyrie Irving will get booed even louder than he was tonight. We can talk about Kyrie for a second before we get out of here. 41 minutes, 6 of 17 from the floor, 2 of 6 from 3, 16 points for Kyrie. Certainly not it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't the performance I'm sure, was hoping to have, or that he's had the past 2 games. He did look a little rattled by the crowd, even though it was only 5,000 people. I'm glad to hear that nobody crossed the line. As far as I heard tonight, they were reporting pretty regularly with Rachel Nichols in the stands saying she didn't hear anything. Haven't heard anything so far. I'm hoping that remains the case, and I'm hoping that stays the case when the house is filled at the Garden. I hope they still boo him loudly, and they should. He deserves it. But definitely don't cross the line. It's a very precarious position right now that Boston's in. You don't want to further damage the reputation of the Celtics and the city. So if you're going to go to the game, boo him, be smart. If you hear somebody say something, call them out about it, get security, get them kicked out, deal with it immediately. That's my best advice to you. I'm looking forward to the game. I hope everybody was happy with a nice Celtics win tonight, and finally a nice night of basketball. And I'll see you guys on Sunday. Appreciate you.